reinforcement in biosafety protocols. And beverage servers and delivery. Good morning. Welcome to the Reinforcement in Biosafety. Most
sales and the customer services that we have in stores and in deliveries. So let's talk about COVID-19. Just a short notice or short reinforcement telling you or telling us that it is a virus that spreads easily. Most people do not exhibit symptoms. It is highly contagious. One sick person can infect 10 persons or more, 10 people. So we have to take care of all the means that we have for protection or personal equipment for protection and make sure that we take all the required protocols to keep safety of our business or enterprise. How does it spread? It spreads with the close contact of people through respiratory droplets. We have to make sure that we have our personal protective equipment to keep our safety and reasonable distance. We need to avoid touching our faces, our eyes, nose, our mouth. Do not share our utensils like forks, our plates, cups. Not contact greetings. If we can make some wave, elbow bump, foot shake, anything that can keep us away from greeting contact that is more tightly. And we know that the COVID is a person-to-person spread disease, and we need to make sure that we are not engaging or helping it to promote or spread easily. We need to make sure that we are taking all the measures to avoid infected surfaces. And to make sure of that, we need to clean the surfaces and to try not to touch all of them. So we need to make sure we are taking all our prevent or protocols required to reduce the risk of infection with COVID-19. We can have contact with money. We can contact our ATM, some keys, the doorknobs, the car knobs, all our information, that all the requirements, all the equipment that we have, all the surfaces that we touch, they can be infected with COVID-19. That is why we need to make sure that we are not touching or we are not in contact with them. Some general recommendations. We need to avoid contact with infected people. If we can stay home, then try to stay home to reduce the risk of getting an infection or getting the disease. Cover up when you cough or sneeze with a tissue, then throw it away or use the sneeze protocol. The sneeze protocol is the protocol that you sneeze in your forearm triangle, and you try not to remove the spreading of the disease. Clean and disinfect frequently, touch objects and surfaces. When you return home after making some diligence out of home, that we are trying to reduce these activities, you need to take off your clothes and wash them immediately. Take off your shoes and leave them outside. Put your keys and money in a bag and clean the cell phone and your glasses if you're wearing glasses. We need to make sure that we have all these precautions to prevent any further disease spreading. There are persistence of COVID on several surfaces. We have plastic that can stay from 2 to 3 days. We have paper that the virus can live for 4 to 5 days. We have the glass. Glass can persist for 4 days. Aluminum from 2 to 8 hours. We have wood 4 days. We have in the gloves, we can have the chirurgical gloves or gloves that we use 8 hours. And we have cardboard. We can persist the virus for 24 hours. Some personal hygiene products that we need to use are hand soap, antibacterial gel, and paper towels. We need to make sure that we are taking all our personal hygiene products and making all our cleaning of our hands and surfaces correctly. Remember to make hand washing correctly. How do you wash your hands? We take several steps like wet hands, apply soap, rub hands palm to palm, lather the backs of your hands, scrub between thumbs, wash fingernails and fingertips, rinse your hands, dry with a single-use towel, use a towel to turn off the faucet, and your hands are clean. So we have a small video here that is a short one, which will show you how to make the cleaning of your hands or how to wash your hands. So now that we already have a preview of how to make our hand washing protocols, we are gonna make a review, a fast review. Food handlers should wash their hands before and after using the bathroom, when handling raw food, after coughing or sneezing, and after touching your face and hair. Remember that the handling of the food is a very important procedure. So we need to make sure that we are getting our safety protocols in the procedure of our cleaning of our hands. When you smoke, eat, and drink, you need to make sure that you clean your hands after taking out the trash, after touching money. Wash your hands for approximately 40 to 60 seconds to make sure that we are taking care of any residue or virus that is left in our hands. Here's another video. I'm sorry, this video is in Spanish, but you can see how the procedure of cleaning several. So now let's talk about our personal protection equipment, or mostly known as PPE. Let's talk about the mask. We have several types of masks, like surgical masks. Masks should be changed every 4 hours, approximately, when they are wet from sweat, talking, or sneezing, and when they are visibly dirty. Some gloves, they are essential to avoid contaminating pre-cooked or pre-prepared food. How often should you change your gloves? Every 4 hours, when you leave the kitchen, when they are fit the size of your hands. Do not use oversized gloves, because it will make it difficult or harder to keep track of them, to make them clean. Here's a video of how to take the gloves off your hands. Okay, so now that we watched the correct procedure, remember that in our cookies or our helpers use gloves for the preparing of the food. So this video was really important. About our goggles or masks. Protect your eyes, but make sure, or you're gonna know that you are not 100% safe with the goggles. So this is just an additional protective procedure or equipment. About the nets, remember that as a protocol for the kitchen work, that is not a biosafety, but protocol required for the kitchen workers to use nets. So if they are single use, because there are several types of nets, if we have single use nets, then they have to be discarded at the end of the day. If we are using nets that are permanent, then we need to make sure that these nets are cleaned every day, because we can have some residues on our nets. So that is a very important procedure to take care of. What about our uniforms? You must put all of your uniforms in the workplace. It is very important that you make sure that your uniforms are left on the working area. What do I mean by this? When you take the uniforms to your house, you may be carrying the virus there. So you're taking several risks home. If it is possible to make the cleaning of the uniforms in the restaurant or in the working area, in a special area, then do it. Otherwise, you make sure that you take it in a special container, in a bag, and have the cleaning of your uniform correctly. Restaurants must ensure that the uniforms are washed and cleaned every time the employee wears it or puts it on. Several preventive biosafety measures that we can take are when we are coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with a tissue or the inside of your elbow. Wash your hands with soap and water. Keep a safe distance of 1.5 to 2 meters between one person to another. Avoid touching the nose, mouth, and eyes, as they are the port of the entry into your body of any virus. If you have cold or flu symptoms, seek immediate medical attention. And several hygiene measures that we can have when using disposable tissues, throw them into the designated place, not anywhere. Wash your hands frequently. When we talk about designated places, we have several bins. These bins are with special bags, red bags. These red bags for trash are a specific color that helps us differentiate the biosafety or our equipment that has any contact with viruses. So it's important that we have all the amount of bags that we need to keep equipped our establishment. In the restaurant areas, we need to make sure that we complete the cleaning through all these areas that I'm going to read you right now. We have the receiving areas, our storage pantries, employee dining rooms, dressing rooms, our kitchen, food pickup by customers, or delivery areas. We're going to be talking about them through the presentation, so you can make sure to know how to make the procedures of cleaning or disinfecting these areas. And as I am telling you from the beginning, we need to make sure to hand wash our hands, hand sanitizing, use of masks, cough and sneezing protocols, wear removable and disposable gloves. Remember that we had to clean, remove residue from a surface and wash with soap and water. Sanitize and disinfect surfaces. Use a chemical product to eliminate viruses, germs, or bacteria from surface. Follow cleaning and disinfecting protocols for kitchen equipment and utensils. Scrape off debris, wash them with soap and water, rinse with clean water, disinfect with bleach according to the instructions and dilutions of those producers. And can have air dry of all these areas. Cleaning and disinfecting protocols for kitchen equipment and utensils. Scrape off debris, wash them with soap and water, rinse with clean water, disinfect with correct dilution of bleach, and most of all, air dry. When we have the presence of air dry or winding or open areas, the virus dies faster. So that's a very important fact that we can have to consider. Cleaning and disinfecting as well the kitchen areas. Label clean areas with dirty areas and dirty areas that we need to separate them. Clean areas and dirty areas. This will make it easier for us to know what is going on in our establishment. Have foot baths in the restaurant entrance areas. Have natural ventilation with cleaning and disinfecting the kitchen, and do not place any food products on the floor. What about the reception areas or the entrance to the restaurant of our workers or essential workers? Our workers must go through the inspection required by our government. I want to make stop here and tell you that all of your employees need to take frequent COVID tests. These tests need to be taken at least every 30 days, and they need to be filed in a place that when we have the Ministry of Labor, Work Ministry that comes to check all of your establishment, we need to have them in hand. This is a very important issue, and this is a very, I don't want to tell, this is the point or the item or the issue that we have in all the restaurants. We have made some inspections, and we are not finding these files or this test. This one is very important to make sure that our co-workers or our workers are complying with this requirement. We need to keep safe distance with our co-workers, and they must wash their hands before entering the workplace. We need to clean shoes before entering, put on personal protective equipment, put on the uniform, and take body temperature. If the body temperature is higher than 37.5 degrees Celsius, you need to isolate this co-worker and seek for medical assistance. What about our suppliers? We need to have, or if we can have, an independent access to delivery products. In some cases, we cannot have a different entrance or independent. Is that we establish a schedule. This schedule allows us to keep control of all of our suppliers. So deliveries must schedule at a different time than the service. They must follow all the procedures and biosafety measures. We need to keep social distancing, clean the shoes, and supplies are not allowed in the kitchen until they have been properly cleaned and sanitized. Raw material, food products, receiving protocols. Raw materials cannot enter clean areas without having been washed and disinfected. Products must be transferred to bins when appropriate. Disinfect packing or transport trays. Products should not be placed directly on the floor. Never should be placed on the floor. So we need to have several areas for the storage or for the placing, even though it's a temporal one, because we can acquire the virus on the floor. Disinfect surfaces when raw materials was received or were received. Wash and disinfect after receiving from each supplier, and the area must be kept clean and free from debris. In some restaurants, we have found that there is not a specific area for the receiving of all the suppliers or material. So in these cases, make sure that disinfection is made in the entrance before all the materials go inside of our establishment. And you need to have all these procedures very well cleared or known to all your employees. Our warehouse, we do not leave raw material on the floor. Products should not be placed with the oldest products in front and the newest in the back. So we are gonna fulfill the FIFO, first entrance, first out. Dispose of cardboard boxes and egg cartons and the product label must be visible. When we have the product label with a date of issue or date of production, it helps us to know how old the product is or when did it comes to our warehouse. In our kitchen, we have to reorganize workspaces to allow safe distancing. If you can see the image that is in the right side of the presentation, we can see several people in our kitchen. We have to make sure we have enough space to keep the distancing between one and another of our co-workers. Do not exchange utensils between cooks. Substitute kitchen towels or for paper towels. Use covered trays to protect. Limit the cook from touching the orders. Pens are for individual use, not to be shared though. So we need to have, all of our employees must have their own pens and utensils. All surfaces in the kitchen must be washed and disinfected before, during, and at the end of the workday. Keep the kitchen at a comfortable temperature to avoid the feeling of suffocation caused by the mask, and have natural ventilation. The second issue or pointer that we have here is the appropriate temperature of our kitchen. All of us are using masks, and we know that sometimes we are getting suffocated. So it is correct, or it is a very important issue to try and keep our workers in the kitchen when we have a very hot temperature because of all the cooking, to make some checking of the temperature, make sure that everyone's comfortable with the temperature to avoid suffocation, as I was telling you. We need to choose a person or pick a person that is going to be in charge of all the biosafety engagement or biosafety checking of all our measures. This person is the one who has to file your exams of all your personnel, and it's going to be the point or the focus point of any inspection of the Ministry of Labor, and is the responsible of checking that we have enough equipment, enough personal protective measures and materials. So it's a very important person. In some establishments where the establishments are bigger, we can make a committee, and this committee will make sure that every job duties of the person in charge. What does this person do? Monitor and record the protocols are met. Cleaning utensils on the kitchen floor must be different from the rest of the establishment, and this person needs to make sure that there is enough utensils for the cleaning and that our employees are using them, because many times we buy them and we give them to them, but to make it easier for them, they just use the same materials or the same utensils, and they forget that they had to make one for the kitchen floor and one from the rest of the establishment. Cleaners should wear rubber gloves and masks. Cleaning utensils should be washed before and after each use, and we need to designate a place to store our cleaning supplies. Our sanitary services, the kitchen staff toilets must be used exclusively by them. So we need to have separated bath or toilets for them. In some cases, it's very hard because we only have one toilet. So we have to make sure that we establish some shifts, not to saturate or have excessive people on our toilets. We must have hand soap, hand sanitizer, paper towel, toilet paper, and trash can with a lid and pedal. And remember that in the places that we have biosafety materials left, we need to have the red bags. The cooking practices with the COVID-19, this virus is not a foodborne disease, but there are many cross-contaminations that can occur. Raw food should be washed and sanitized. Cooked food should reach the correct temperature. And we have to make sure about our employee dining rooms. We know that our employees have some special or designated areas for them to have lunch or to eat their food in several hours. So we need to clean and disinfect before and after they eat. We need to make sure there is a social distancing in this area. Wash your hands before entering the dining room. Assign hours and shifts to eat, and do not combine groups. In our locker rooms, if we have locker rooms for our employees, workers must wash their hands before entering this area, disinfect shoes before entering, social distancing. They are disinfected between each shift. They should be kept ventilated and the doors and windows open. What about the responsibility of the company? Our company has to implement and control COVID prevention and containment actions. So all of the protocol, that is an official protocol of the Ministry of Labor, should be complied. If we have any case or any suspect of contamination, we need to report to the 911. The information required by the health authorities based on the guidelines issued by them or the protocols that I have been telling you. So we have here, this is a control chart. I'm sorry, it's in Spanish, but every establishment needs to have a control chart of all their employees. When we are taking the temperature of our employees, we need to make sure that we have a special chart of our checking through our employees. So we need to have the name of our enterprise, the name of our employee, our ID, the gender, the age, the telephone, what's the working area, what's the working shift, their address, and what's the date or the day that they are taking this through checking. And we have several things that we make sure we fill the box, like if they are in good health, if they have the temperature that they were taking with our thermometers, if there were some mucus or sneezing or problems with maybe a flu, and the general status of our employees. So we had to make sure that we use one of these charts for the control of our employees and make sure that we have this with our file, that we are taking the temperature of all of our employees every day. This is one of the requirements that Ministry of Labor is taking care or is checking every time that they go to data of this charts ready and filled with every one of our employees. If you want to make it easier, you want to optimize it, you can make your own chart, but it has to have several information in it that helps you ensure that you are taking all the precautions required. What about the tracking ticket? When we are making food, we need to make sure we are having or making our tracking ticket, and this ticket serves to identify those responsible in the chain from the production to the delivery. So this is a very important procedure, and we need to make sure that we are complying with this ticket. Here is an example of our ticket, a traceability ticket that helps us to know who made the food, who transported the food, and what time it was made. So in this chart or in this we have here, we have the name of the enterprise, we have the date, we have the time of elaboration, we have the time of sending or yes, sending time, and the time it was handed over. And we have more information about who made the food, who transported the food, and who is responsible for any contact. So we place a number there. In the delivery protocol, vehicles must be washed, clean and disinfect baskets, thermal bags between one delivery and another, wash and disinfect hands. The delivery man cannot enter the kitchen in no circumstance Our delivery staff can enter the kitchen. Only designated personnel should enter the kitchen. And there will be a designated area where to put the orders when they are ready for handling over. Home delivery orders. The bag containing the food must be sealed at all times, must have the tracking ticket. The delivery man delivers the order holding it from the bottom, and the customers grabs them from the top. If the order is returned or rejected, it must be disposed in a trash can, disposed of. And what about our payment method? The keyboard, the pen, the credit and the debit card, the money must be constantly disinfected. So if we have to promote an easier way to pay, so maybe they can pay forward, they can make a credit card payment, but in some cases, we're gonna take cash. So if we're taking cash, make sure to disinfect it. If we have the delivery man who takes the money, maybe he can disinfect it there, or otherwise, we disinfect the money when it arrives to the establishment. Hand washing stations, we need to establish or place hand washing station in our establishment. All establishments must have a hand washing station. They should be equipped with disposable towels, soap, dispensers, hand sanitizer, and a trash can. And cooks should not use alcohol on their hands because it's a risk of burning with the fire. So we need to reduce in our cook areas, or the cookers should make sure they're not in contact with alcohol, and it can alter the taste of the food as well. And well, this has been the short review of the protocols, trying to make all of you have reinforcement of the protocols of restaurants. So if there is any questions we have here, I'll be sure to answer them. Well, if there aren't any questions, then the box that we have for some questions and answers. Otherwise, we're gonna give you a minute. Otherwise, we're gonna be thanking you for your presence here.
If anyone is interested in receiving a certificate, you'll have 35 minutes to complete some questions. You can find the link in the chat area.